Hey everybody, in this video we're going to talk about command injection, and we're going to look to see how it fits in within the OWASP top 10 vulnerabilities. And in this case we're going to use the DVWA again to provide an example of how that actually works. So we can see here that DVWA, the vulnerability is command injection, and it's asking us to ping a device. So enter an IP address and then submit it. So just as a reminder, we're going to cover the low and the medium in this tutorial. In the high, we're going to cover that in the Pentest Professional course at Pentest TV. So let's take a look and see what the OWASP Top 10 has to say about this particular vulnerability. All right, this one is command injection, so we're looking at A03. So if we open up A03 and take a look at what the OWASP has to say about it, we can see that some of the vulnerabilities to attack include user supplies data that is not validated, filtered, or sanitized by the application. In this particular example, that's probably going to be what we're going to exploit. All right, so if we go back to our challenge, DVWA, I'm going to enter an IP address. I'll just use Google and see what we get. All right, so it did ping google.com, and we received a typical ping response, 4 attempts. And we get to see that there was 0 packet loss, etc., etc. All right, so now the problem is that if we talk about user supplied data not being filtered, that means we should be able to put some commands in there that elicits the server to respond using typical commands found on that server. So for example, like ls, pwd, things like that. So let's go ahead and take a look and see what we can do. Before I do that, I want to point out one of the websites that OWASP has. It's basically a way of testing websites, and they give you some examples and try to explain exactly what these vulnerabilities are and how to exploit them. So if we scroll down, and they'll give us some examples of special characters for command injection. I'm going to use this second one right here where it says you can use a semicolon. We can try any of these. We can do the ampersands, we can do the pipes, all of that, right? And we probably would in a real world situation. All right, so let's go ahead and use the semicolon, and we'll do a command and then a command with the semicolon in between. So in this case, we're going to use google.com again, and then we're going to do a semicolon, and we're going to do pwd, see what directory I'm at. So we'll go ahead and submit that and see what our response is. Okay, so we did get a different response. It looks like down here, it's telling us that we're under a vulnerabilities directory with exec directory as well. All right, so we were able to get some information. Let's go ahead and see if we can get, let's say, the etc password file. So let's do the same thing again and try a little bit different command. So google.com cat etc password, and then we'll submit that and see what we get. Okay, so we pinged Google again, and then we've got looks like the dump from the etc password file. So we can see that who the users are. Right, useful. Let's try to see if we can actually extract the shadow file. We probably don't have permissions. Right, that's going to show you some of the limitations of this. Is that you only have access to files that are equal to or lower than your level of access. So as before, we're going to do google.com semicolon and then cat etc, but this time shadow, and submit. All right, nothing came back other than the original ping against Google. So obviously we don't have permissions to look at the etc shadow file. All right, now this was at the low, so we're going to move that up to the medium this time and see what kind of additional security measures they've implemented that might prevent us from being able to perform the same type of actions. So I'll just scroll down, go to the security, change from low to medium, click submit, and it shows that we're medium here. Scroll all the way down, it shows that we're at medium as well. Okay, so let's go back to our command injection, and we're going to try the same thing. So it was google.com semicolon pwd. Let's just do that one. We'll hit submit, and we didn't get anything. So they filtered our command. It could have been based on the character that we were using, the semicolon. I'm going to cheat and I'm going to look at the actual code because I think that's going to help us understand what the filtering might actually look like. So let's go ahead and scroll down and take a look at the source. All right, so we can see here that there are some substitutions. Basically, they've tried to filter out the ampersands, double ampersands, and a single semicolon, and they replaced those with blanks. All right, so that's what screwed up our command. We have to use other special characters in order to perform the attack. So obviously they didn't filter out everything, so let's try something different. All right, so we're going to try this again. We're going to do google.com. And I'm going to use the one that I usually use, which is the pipe. And then I'm going to do cat Etsy password. Because why not? All right, so google.com, we're using a different special character. And we're going to go ahead and submit it and see what happens. All right, so this time it didn't even show us the Google response. The pipe apparently just removed that from consideration. And what we see here is the Etsy password dump. So in this case, we were able to exploit it at the medium level by using a different special character. So I wanted to go back to this and just show you again that we did use a different special character. There's again a plethora of them. In this case, the medium challenge would have prevented us from being able to execute it using the double ampersands. But like I said, you can see that there's some additional ones that we can try. And then there's also a list of remediations as well that basically it's telling you to escape or filter these characters. That should have prevented us from being able to exploit the system entirely using a command line injection. All right, so if we go back to the A03 injections page, then we can take a look and see how to prevent. And it's going to say basically the same thing, is that we need to use server-side input validation. So anybody who's coding the websites, they need to do this in order to prevent attacks from hackers using these special characters. For those that are unfamiliar with our website, we have a website also that provides additional courses and training material, and I would encourage you to check that out. If you scroll to the bottom of our courses, you can see that there is a free course, Professional Penetration Testing. Definitely check it out. There's a lot of good material in there, and I think you're going to really benefit from it. And with that, that's the conclusion of A03, the injection vulnerability using the DVWA. If you have any questions, make sure you join our Discord server. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next video.